All right, hello everyone, and welcome to today's podcast. Thank you to everyone that's in the live chat already joining us. Yes, I know we're like 1 minute late. Thank you very much to everyone for reminding us. As usual, bhulte nahi hai log sale koi bhi. But thanks anyway for joining us. We've got a good episode for you today because it's been a goal of mine to speak to this gentleman, because not only because I like his commentary, not only because I like his YouTube channel, but also because he belongs to my alma mater in Hindu College in Delhi University. So it's a great pleasure to have, for the first time on the show, Abhinav Prakash. Abhinav, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Sham. It's a pleasure to be here, and finally we were able to do this thing.
Yes, absolutely, and I'm very happy that we're able to. There's a lot I want to talk to you about, because there's a lot that's going on. But let's maybe start with one of the big ones, right? So one of the big issues, talking points over the last week or so in India has been sort of the Bengal elections, the outcome of the Bengal elections, what has happened in the aftermath of the Bengal elections. And it's not very surprising, I suppose. The scale of violence that maybe happened right after the elections maybe was a little bit surprising, because generally this kind of violence happens in the lead up to the elections. But the scale of violence that happened in the aftermath of the elections, were you taken aback? Were you surprised, or were you just like, ye to hona hi tha?
No, I was not surprised, because this is what has been happening in Bengal for decades now. And the violence was apparently much worse when the communists were ruling the Bengal. You had regular violence, systematic violence, and this culture, what you're seeing in Bengal is real fascism. So perhaps the folks who keep shouting fascism 24/7, sitting in Gurgaon or Noida and saying we have defeated fascists in the Bengal, they should open up their eyes and see what real fascism looks like. And this is very interesting, because this fascism was given an academic cover, and it is even today politely called party society. It's a very polite term, because the communists were ruling Bengal, so they were doing fascism. You can't call it fascism, and the left is smart, so they know how to play the politics of discourse. So they came up with this academic construct of party society. Party society is nothing but real fascism. So I was not surprised. What is different this time is the widespread use of social media, mobile phones, even in the villages, so that we are seeing those pictures for the first time in such a manner. Remember when Mamata Banerjee was in opposition, communist cadres would go and cut off the hand of the people who voted Mamata. Didi ko vote diya to haath humko doge, na Sholay style kind of thing. And then when TMC came to power in 2011, TMC did the same thing to CPM. Again, after 2016, the suppression of the communists by TMC was very, very harsh. Something similar to what we are seeing today. So it's not at all surprising. And I was in JNU, so where SFI used to be a dominant force up until last decade. So I have seen SFI in dominance, and SFI was basically either the party, are the Kerala cadres, or the Bengalis, with some mix thrown in from UP, Bihar, and some from Punjab. So I have seen how my Bengali friends, my batchmates, were absolutely terrified of the SFI. So when I was in masters, we had almost 30-40% class was Bengali. They all hated the left. They came from presidency and JVS. They disliked the SFI, but they were absolutely terrified of the SFI. So if SFI ka senior will come and say कि आज इस public meeting में आना है, they will be like cribbing about it, abusing it, but they will go. They will show that we have come to the SFI meeting. And then we realized that this is because they know what SFI does, and SFI was powerful back then. It's not that it was completely replaced by ISA at that time. So I was not surprised. I understand this thing, and nothing new, but it's very sad that you have the real fascism in Bengal, and all the anti-fascists are not speaking against it. In fact, they're supporting it, they're applauding it.
I mean, it's the
Uh,
same bigotry of low expectations, right, Abhinav? Like you see,
no, 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 no. It's not
no,
bigotry of low expectation.
huh.
They don't have low expectation. They actually have higher expectation from them to actually go and do more of this thing.
Yeah. Yeah, but I was thinking in the sense ki, just say if you look at, I was reading an article by this horrible organization. It's called Feminism in India. I have no problems with feminism, but I have a problem with that organization because they published a bunch of articles about you know in rural areas, Hindu women, some of them do ghungat, especially in like Haryana, Punjab type areas, and they say that how that is a black mark on Indian society, how women in the 21st century are still wearing ghungats, which doesn't even cover their entire face. It only covers their heads, but it is still a horrible mark on Indian society. But at the same time, you'll find the same kind of articles from them on full-faced hijab, and that niqab thing and hijab, and saying that how this is a symbol of actually internalizing or something like that, or privatizing their own sexuality. How these women are actually taking charge of their own sexuality by completely covering up so that men can't even see their eyelids, essentially. And that's the kind of thing that I see in Bengal to an extent, where अच्छा, कहीं पे और बीजेपी रूल्ड स्टेट में इस तरह की हिंसा होती है, वायलेंस होता है, तो भैया दैट इज फैशिज्म, रियरिंग इट्स अगली हेड. बट बंगाल में होता है तो वो तो उनका कल्चर है. That's what happens in Bengal. Don't worry about Bengal. This is what Congress used to do. This is what left used to do. This is what TMC does. ये तो होता ही रहता है. Like that's the low bigotry of, soft bigotry or low expectations that I was talking about.
No, no. So I'm getting your point, but in the case of Bengal, I can see these people are actually applauding it. They are happy about it, and this is what they want to do to the BJP everywhere else in the country. So make no mistake about it that these people are actually bigots. The people who go by the name of liberals in India, they are the real fascists in this country. The right wing in India is actually the center. Is this the people who are you see the right wing, what you call right wing in India? Those are actually social progressives, those are centrist. Is the people who are liberals, they are actually far left and they call themselves as liberals. But this is what I've seen happening in front of my own eyes. So after Modi won 2014, I remember in JNU, this ISA led JNU took out a Mashal Jalus 2 days after the results, saying reject the fascist mandate.
Oh, lovely.
So in BJP won in general election, so our comrades were taking on Mashal Jalus that we reject this fascist mandate. We refuse to accept this democratic mandate because fascists have won. And I remember there was a meeting. The march concludes into a meeting. So they were all denouncing everything. So there was this guy from ABVP. One was a neutral guy. Kind of a pro-right but not a party member. They said, we also want to speak something because this is a JNUSC platform. And one of them, who is now a member of Bihar Assembly from this Malay, he said, क्या इन कुत्तों को हम बोलने की इजाजत देंगे?
Wow.
And the entire janta, all these left radicals and who keep shouting about everything, nahi, nahi, nahi. Wow. Right? So this is what these people are. So, but after that, I've seen that these people who are far left, who are Islamists, who are Kashmiri Azadi type of people, are trying to adopt the label of liberal. So I would see them in the meeting of free market economics. And these are hardcore Naxalites, JNU mein. They were like Lal Salam kind of people. And they adopted this label of liberals because they thought that this is the way to survive. So if Congress comes, we will be far left again. If BJP is there, let's hide by being a liberal. And they actually thought that in 2019 the BJP will lose and they can go back to their old things. That didn't happen. So now they have completely lost it. Right? Yeah. So now they are openly encouraging, supporting all violence, all kind of shady forces, because they just want somehow that BJP should lose power. That's it. Yeah. Even if you have to kill thousands of people, even if you have massive violence, even if Pakistan attacks India, all that is fine. So these were the people who are demanding Nobel Peace Prize for Imran Khan, if you remember. Yep. Right? So this is what it is. So these are not liberals. These are not, even the left of the center people. These are actually Islamists and hardcore Naxals.
Yeah, and so let me come to the election, and let's talk about that really quickly before we move on, because one of the things that I was surprised by was the reaction to the election results, because I was going into the election results not thinking that the BJP will win. I was going into the election results kind of thinking that the BJP will emerge as the main opposition. So when the results came out, I'm like, jo socha tha wahi hua. But there was this apparently, well, I think every party does that. BJP does that to a greater extent, in the sense that वो तो decide कर लेते हैं कि भाई हम ही आ रहे हैं. And then अगर नहीं आते हैं तो they get a little crestfallen. Everybody else around them gets surprised as well. Were you surprised by the election results at all? And what is it that you were surprised by?
No, not really, because as the elections proceeded, talking to different people who were involved or who were in Bengal, it was clear more and more that BJP will not make the government this time, but I expected it to cross 100, 110 kind of a thing. So I thought it will get at least 120 around kind of a seat, and that it will be a real challenge to the TMC. I didn't expect that to go down to 77. I think 77 is their final tally. Yeah. So that was a bit surprising. I was expecting it to be in triple digits. But remember, BJP would have got triple digit seats if not, if elections were actually free and fair. Right? You can't have the election under an atmosphere of absolute fear. And many people didn't vote. Many people in the villages, those who were working as household helps or those who were working in Kolkata. So they told different people, I mean, their employers and also the people whom I talk to normally, they said that we have no option but to vote the TMC. And this is where we have to understand the reality of Bengal. See, Bengal is extremely poor, right? Bengal is an extremely poor state. If you look at the, if you look at the scenes coming out of in the videos and all, we don't see that kind of scenes. At least in central UP or western UP, right? The villages are far more prosperous. And of course, people come and say, well, Bengal has higher per capita income and so on. Well, take out Kolkata and the Marwaris from Bengal, we will see what is the per capita income, right? So if the income inequality is very high in Bengal. And the system set up by the communist, and I think maybe started from the Congress party itself, is that the lower bureaucracy is almost defunct. And the party cadre have taken over it, right? So much of these state benefits like ration supply, electricity, you want to get a small job done, you want to get your passports made, ID card made, this all, everything is under the control of the local party functionaries. Now, that means that if you go against the party, you will be punished severely. Because of two reasons. First of all, they can block your access, and it's happening as of now in Bengal. In many places, the ration shops are refusing to give ration to the people who voted BJP or who were workers of the BJP. Water supplies are being cut and so on. That is happening. But the private interest of these local TMC leaders, party leaders, earlier CPM, now TMC, is also tied up in making sure that the system remains. So they will not tolerate anyone not voting as they say, because that's a direct attack on their money-making work. That is a direct assault on their livelihood. So these are the people who actually go and do most of the violence. Right? So this is the political economy thing we need to understand. Bengal is an extremely poor state. Per capita incomes might be high, but income equality is even high. And you can see that in the countryside. Now, there is no job opportunity, nothing. So what is the best way to do it? Become the local gunda of a ruling party. And that's it. And that you make sure that no one votes to another party. So this is what is happening. So not surprised at all by the results, because it was never a free and fair election. I think if Mamata government was dismissed before the election, 6-7 months earlier, and the elections were held under the president's rule, maybe that atmosphere of fear would have gone down.
What do you make of, the news came abhi ki Suvendu Adhikari has been made the leader of the opposition, and he's kind of become the face of the BJP in Bengal. What do you make of that decision? Because I personally like that decision because, obviously this is a guy that was able to beat Mamata from Nandigram. Secondly, we saw what happened in the direct aftermath of the Bengal elections कि जितने भी at least बीजेपी के लीडर्स थे majority वो सारे के सारे इलेक्शन करके अपना कट लिए. As soon as the election results came out, they were out. They left the BJP workers and the cadre to fend for themselves. But there were a couple of people like Arjun Kumar, Arjun Singh, and people like Suvendu Adhikari who
Shantanu Thakur as well.
Shantanu Thakur as well, yeah. Who stood with their cadre, who stood with their workers in Nandigram. I remember Suvendu Adhikari was walking through Nandigram at night saying ki don't worry, main hu tumhare saath. So I feel like, making somebody like that, the face of the BJP in West Bengal, leader of the opposition, I think that's a good move because I think it sends a very good signal to the extremely demoralized, I support, BJP worker base after the elections. And in my opinion, it's a good decision. What do you make of it?
Well, I don't know much about Suvendu Adhikari, but I think it's a good thing what they have done because he's the guy who defeated the Mamata Banerjee. He has been in TMC. He knows all the tricks. He knows all the manipulation which TMC can do. So it's a good thing, and it's also a great signal to. Two things have happened. Himanta Biswa Sarma has become the chief minister, and now Suvendu Adhikari is the leader of opposition. So it gives a very strong signal to the potential turncoats of the other parties that in BJP you will be respected and you will have a chance to rise up if you adopt the BJP agenda and you work hard. So I think that's a very strong thing, and that will have its impact. As of now, because of this corona situation, there's some decline in the stock of the BJP, political stocks of the BJP. But trust me, many congressmen, and especially the strong leaders on the grassroots, did want to join BJP just before this corona second wave happened.
Right.
So I think it's a great signal. Also, in Bengal, you actually need a very assertive grassroots leader.
Yeah.
Remember when Mamta was in opposition? She was in opposition for almost 20 years or so. And she was very active on the ground. Any attack on her karyakarta, she would be there. Right? No matter how remote the area, she will actually go there and strike back. In whatever form, she will do that. So you need that kind of leadership on the ground, which is proactive, which is accessible, and which is not afraid, not these parachute candidates which were dropped in the Bengal who ran away, and all of them are declaring themselves as chief minister before the election.
Yep.
So it's a good signal. But remember, the Bengal has some inherent problem in the sense that I have discussed this thing with many people over the years, and I think 5-6 years back when Mamta was destroying CPM. So I had this discussion with a professor in a conference, and he told me this thing. You see, he told me that Bengal is a very swing state. So whoever is ruling Bengal, somehow that person or that power dominates the entire society. So you see, when TMC is ruling, it's a total domination. When CPM is ruling, it's a total domination. When Congress was there, it was a total domination. When freedom movement was happening, so entire Bengal was radicalized towards the freedom struggle. Before that, in 1847, it was very pro-British. Before that, when there was Islamic rule, large part of Bengal converted to Islam. Right? Yeah. It didn't happen in any part from Punjab. Even Punjab didn't convert, right, which came under the occupation. But Bengal converted very early on to Islam. So he said that it might be that what happened sometime in history, like with the rise of the Pala dynasty, this whole idea of the sun emperor, that emperor is the sun and everyone derives his power and existence from the sun. So though they actually destroyed all the social power structures in Bengal. And basically they wanted to get rid of any challenge to them, and they ended up creating a society in which there is no moderation between the people and the political power, because the social power centers are weaker. Now that is a very interesting theory. I don't know whether that's true or not, but this is interesting. So maybe some of your viewers and who are better informed than me can discuss these things. But this is something you see. You never see that in UP. I'm pretty sure in Bihar as well. But I mean, Imagine any political party trying to exercise that much of control
Yeah.
in UP. अब उस नेता उस पार्टी को तो गंगा जमुना में उठा के फेंक देंगे 2 मिनट में, right? Neta, Vidhayak, whoever you are, you can't run your rule like this over the people. You will be just thrashed and thrown out.
Yeah.
But I think we have to do. I mean, perhaps you can invite someone who's well versed in the Bengali history, society, and all, and perhaps you can brainstorm on this problem.
Yeah, that's true. That's true. That is an interesting theory. And finally, I suppose moving away from Bengal, I do like the fact, like I said, Suvendu Adhikari has been made the leader of the opposition. I think the story of Bengal is only just started. I don't think the story of Bengal is over, like a lot of people are saying. I think it's only just begun. I've never seen, I don't know if I might be wrong, so please correct me, but I've never seen a party go from like 3 seats to making the government in Bengal. Has that happened before?
No, never.
Yeah.
In fact, we never had such a strong opposition ever before.
Yeah. So yeah, I think it's going to be interesting to see how the story of Bengal unfolds over the next 5 years. But let's move on to another thing, and let's talk about the current, I suppose, COVID situation that's going on. And we don't need to get into the weeds too much. We can just maybe give like a talk about it more generally. But again, COVID situation could generally be dekhe, so there's been a lot of talk in the last few days. Ke bhai, why are infrastructure projects like Central Vista happening at a time when the country is suffering through such a serious COVID crisis? And it seems to me, and again, correct me if I'm wrong, but it seems to me that there's a bit of a misunderstanding in terms of what the problem really is. People seem to think that the problem is that India ke paas paise nahi hai vaccines ke liye or oxygen ke liye. That's not the case.
Yeah.
The country has plenty of money for vaccines and oxygen and things like that. I mean, the bloody PM Cares corpus has crossed like $1 billion long ago. So people have money. It's just at what time the money has been allocated and how the supply chains have been built or not been built. Like if you look at the government had, I think they had sanctioned money for like 160 oxygen plants. Out of that, only 33 have come up. The government had issued like the credit line to Serum Institute of India back in April, when they should have done it in January so that the country is better prepared and there's enough vaccines to go around. So it seems to me that there's a bit of a confusion कि पैसे नहीं है, but I feel like that the problem is कि time पर planning नहीं हुई और supply chain की issue है यहाँ पर.
Yeah, I fully agree. It's not a question of money. See, these people are absolutely dumb. Anyone who is trending these stupid tweets against the Central Vista project, those people are absolutely dumb. I have no time for these people,
Right.
But they are spreading so much of lie that we have to speak on it. First of all, if your country is undergoing a health crisis like it is, and it's very horrific, no doubt about it.
Yeah.
Does that mean that you stop doing every other work? You tell me. You are a country of 1.4 billion. You are such a large country geographically as well. If there's a crisis in Delhi, and this crisis as of now is in certain parts of the country, like UP is there, and Delhi and Punjab, Mumbai is coming under control, and so on.
Yeah.
Does that mean that we should stop doing anything at all? So just tell me, why shouldn't we just shut down all the institutes of higher learning like JNU? Why don't we stop paying salaries to the people who are teaching liberal arts course, which ultimately means nothing in the end? Why shouldn't we confiscate Ashoka University and sell it perhaps to a real estate developer and earn money and make vaccines? What kind of logic is that, right? So what kind of logic is that, frankly? But this and Central Vista project was planned earlier. It was approved, given a go-ahead. Its total cost is around 20,000 crore.
Yeah.
What will you achieve by stopping it? By stopping it, you are basically stopping an infrastructure project which is creating some demand, some income, some employment when
Yes.
large parts of economy are shut down because of the local lockdowns everywhere. And second, if you stop it, there will be cost overruns. So when you restart it after 1 or 2 years, the now cost will be 30,000 crore, 40,000 crore.
Yeah.
Then you will say, well, damn, it's so expensive. So these people have zero understanding. These are the same people who attacked Bharat Biotech. These are the same people who attacked other Poonawalla. These are the same people who want to nationalize vaccine manufacturing. These are the same people who want everything to be for free. The vaccine should be given to free. Now, be very clear when they say the vaccines are free for everyone. The government will give it to the people, right? If
Yeah.
you want free, you go to the government centers, you will get it for free. When these people and the folks and the people who are studying in the universities like Ashoka, right, they are saying that let's nationalize, let's make the vaccines free.
Yeah.
They actually mean that the government should confiscate the vaccines from vaccine manufacturers and don't pay them, or
Yeah.
pay them just the cost. This is what these people mean. So don't take their economic opinion seriously. Central Vista is very, very important. Central Vista is one of the most important projects from the perspective of running an efficient government. As of now, there is not enough space in the entire area. Your MPs don't even have offices. Imagine you are a democracy, your member of parliaments don't have offices in the parliament complex and so on. There is not enough space to house the ministries in those areas. So the government has rented out so much of space, commercial space in Delhi, paying around 1,000 crore rent to them.
Yeah.
People are running from here and there. Those buildings are not foolproof, whether no protection from earthquake, terror attacks, or even espionage. There's a cost of providing security at every different building and ministry. So if you club them together, you bring them together in the same place, the amount of cost saving you will have, the amount of efficiency gain you will have will be much more than 20,000 crore over the time.
Yeah.
So no point in listening to these clowns.
They're like they remind me of a serial में सास होती है ना कि कुछ भी कर लो उनको खुश नहीं कर सकते. If you make it, then they're going to be angry कि क्यों बना दिया, इतना पैसा क्यों खर्चे कर दिए. If you don't make it, then they'll be say कि आपको इतनी बड़ी सुपर पावर चिल्लाते रहते हो, you don't even have space to fit like extra MPs. इनको गार्डन में बिठाना पड़ रहा है. So whatever you do, you can't make them happy. And I do feel to an extent that इनके पास एक ये फाइनल एम्यूनेशन बचा है, क्योंकि इनको अटैक अगर करना है तो इकोनॉमी पे कर सकते हैं. बिकॉज अभी, एंड लेट्स नॉट गेट इट ट्विस्टेड, इंडियन गवर्नमेंट ने खुद टट्टी कर रखी है इकोनॉमी की, एंड ऑल दिस द हैंडलिंग ऑफ द कोविड सिचुएशन हैज बीन टेरिबल. लेट्स नॉट गेट दैट ट्विस्टेड एट ऑल. बट दैट्स द वन एम्यूनेशन दैट इज लेफ्ट, कि किसी न किसी तरह से इकोनॉमी बिठा दे ताकि हमको कुछ चिल्लाने चीखने को तो मिले. अदरवाइज किस चीज पे चिल्लाएंगे चीखेंगे, किस चीज पे, what can actually hurt them is what I'm saying.
Yeah, so that's no. There's lots of things to attack the government on. The handling of the second wave has not been good enough. So we know that. I mean, there was a premature celebration, and that's everyone. That's just about everyone, from the government to the public. Everyone actually thought that it's over, right? And the people in UP, I know that these people were saying कि corona तो कुछ नहीं है. This is up until March and all. You go to small towns and villages, even in the big towns. These people say, well, corona तो कुछ नहीं है, ये कुछ था भी नहीं, ये तो मोदी की बकचोदी है. This was the exact word. I'm using this word because this is what was being said. So no one was wearing masks, no one was taking it seriously. Certain left-wing professors in Delhi University in September and all, they were saying that corona is a fake disease, it's a capitalist conspiracy. They just want to institute a wealth transfer from the poor to the rich. It's a way of capital accumulation. This is a way to promote work from home culture, the big tech companies. So they were spreading all these kind of theories and conspiracies. So let's be very clear that as a society, as a polity, we did fail. We failed as a society, we failed as a polity. All the level of the government failed to manage it. Now, of course, such a pandemic cannot be managed. No one has been able to come out looking good. Neither Japan. You see, I was reading a news today about Japan. They are having a fourth wave, and people are dying at home because health system is on the verge of the collapse in a country like Japan. So, but the point is that in India, the people are dying not because health system has been overwhelmed. They're dying because there was no health system to begin with.
Yeah.
Right. So there's let's be very clear. I mean, we have failed as a polity to provide the basic things to the people, especially in the health and education, and there is no way around it. But their attack on the government on the economic front is also justified to some extent because the economic growth rate has tapered. The India story is over effectively for the next 10-15 years. Middle class has been decimated. But these people are not attacking the government on the real economic points. They're attacking government on central vista. They're attacking government on the vaccine pricing. They're attacking government saying that government should do the more of the failed things because of which the economy is going down. So their attack on the government is not even on the economic basis. It's basically a troll attack. This is a slander campaign. The Modi Mahal. What is Modi Mahal, Baba? It's a prime minister's house that is one small part of a much larger project. And so this is simple slander and nothing else. So, and this is a problem. The opposition in India is completely out of depth. They have no vision left. And demagogues and far left trolls have taken over the discourse of the opposition, and which will anyways benefit the BJP in the end.
Yeah, I do think so. And the one of the problems has also been कि जिन लोगों ने initially vaccine की तरफ hesitancy create की थी कि ये तो BJP की vaccine है, ये BJP की vaccine है, इसको हम नहीं लेंगे. Those are the same people that are now trying to be first in line to get the vaccine at the first opportunity. Same लोग खड़े हैं कि जितनी जल्दी vaccine मिल जाए ले लेंगे. Second point, and somebody made a point in the comment section as well that nobody is talking about the UK variant that is spreading so much death and destruction in northern India. How the farmers' protest that were conducted for 3 whole months, that is still going on, by the way. Abhi, what's his name? Yogendra Yadav announced कि भाई हम फिर से कर रहे हैं. We're not going to stop it. So nobody is talking about how in 3 महीनों तक आपने जो इतने सारे हजारों लोगों को सड़कों पर उतार के रखा हुआ था, उनके पादने से वैक्सीन थोड़ी फैलता है. वो उनके से भी तो कोरोना ही फैल रहा है ना. And a lot of those people that came from the UK to participate in the farmers' protest, you don't think that has been a contributing factor, a major contributing factor to the way the UK variant has spread in northern India?
100%. The main cause of the spread of the coronavirus in India is the farmers' protest, in the North India specifically. So you see, the epicenters of the second wave were Punjab, Kerala, and Maharashtra. Maharashtra, I don't know why it was the case. Maybe you have lots of travel from India and other parts of the world. So maybe that is the way this new variant entered. Maybe it's a local mutation. I'm not an expert on that. But Punjab, certainly because of this farmers' protest, these people coming from outside. And remember, these farmers were conducting rallies, big panchayats in the countryside, in Rajasthan, Haryana, Punjab, UP, and many other places. So the most important cause of the spread of the second wave in the North India, in the areas around Delhi and in Delhi, is the farmers' protest. It's not the Modi's rally 1,000 kilometers away in Bengal. It's not the Kumbh Mela as well. Even that also contributed, but that's not the trigger of it. The trigger is the farmers' protest. Of course, then you will have a number of rallies and gatherings which will spread it. But not, I mean, why surprise? Because these farmers' protests have been absolutely, first of all, they have no basis to protest. So they're protesting, the entire argument is bogus and nonsense. Their demands are completely illegitimate. They want to subvert the democracy and run a Gunda Raj on the streets, which is never going to happen, and it should not happen. But remember, I mean, these people assaulted the Red Fort. These people have been blocking the access to main access routes to Delhi, destroying the livelihood, imposing the economic cost on millions of people who live in this region. These people have absolutely no concern about the lives of the people. The oxygen tanks which are coming from UP and all to Delhi, they had to take a longer route because these people are still blocking expressways and so on. And remember, these people kidnapped a person, and they beat him up and made him confess to a fake conspiracy. You
Yeah.
recall that before the
Yeah. Yeah.
26th January march, that there was a plot hashed by Delhi police to kill farmers leader,
Yep.
and that person was beaten black and blue, and he came on the camera and confessed. When he was released, he said something which is very important, which is completely buried.
Yeah.
He said that when I was locked up, I saw other men also locked up there, and apparently many of those men are no longer alive.
Yeah.
And this he said that on record. So you can understand the character of this farmers' protest is a criminal enterprise ultimately, and now you have this gang rape news coming out of it.
Yeah.
Horrific. But none of this is being covered. If you remember the 2 weeks back in all the media coverage in India and outside India about the second wave, it's only Modi's rally and Kumbh Mela.
That's it. Yeah.
No mention of farmers' protest. No mention of the basic fact that Punjab is the epicenter, where there is no Modi rally, by the way, and there is no Kumbh Mela in Punjab, by the way. And the second epicenter was Mumbai. Again, no Kumbh Mela or no Modi rally, which were happening 1,000 kilometers away from Mumbai.
Yeah.
But this is how propaganda is being done. But this farmers' rally is like, see, it will continue till the UP election, as simple as that. Right? So we don't know what will happen after UP election, but they will certainly make sure that one more year we have to suffer these arrogant people who have no concern for the lives of the people. And this is what I have been saying, that this is Arhati and Jamindar's protest.
Yeah.
This is the protest of the rich farmer who treat other people in the villages like crap.
Yeah.
They teach the agrarian laborers like crap. They teach the small farmers like crap. I mean, these are the Arhatyas who are not just the big landlords. They're not just the big kisans. They also control the local panchayats. They also control the local transportation. They also control the local markets. They also act as the money lender to the small farmers, and they charge 30-40% interest rate from the farmers. These
Yeah.
people have absolutely no concern. They have no value of other people's life in their eyes, and they're showing it up. They are simply showing it what they are. But the
Do you
people are
not think
refusing to see
that?
it.
Do you not think that the government now has like good grounds to disperse the protest? कि भाई हटाओ इनको, निकालो इनको, अब इतनी बुरी तरह से कोरोना फैल गया है, अभी भी क्यों दिल्ली बॉर्डर पे बैठे हो, निकलो यहाँ से? Do you not think that the government now has a responsibility कि यार इतने लोगों को मरवा दिया, अब तो जाओ यहाँ से?
They should have been done in on January itself, 26th of January, but they failed. So I don't know what the government is thinking. But remember, there's an element of blackmail federalism out there. So because of the Punjab issue and the attempts by many forces to incite unrest in Punjab,
Yeah.
I think the government is being very, very cautious. I think a bit too cautious, but I think the government has more information in front of them to take decisions than we sitting on the podcast and giving Gyan on it. But so, I mean, they can at least do that in the UP and Gazipur. You can throw them out, right? There is no such constraint in this side of the border.
Yeah, exactly. That's what I was thinking. And very finally, before we take like a couple of questions and get out of here, there's been a lot of justified attacks on the BJP, particularly when it came to the Bengal elections as well. कि भाई COVID mismanagement कर दिया है आपने, इसलिए हार गए, ये कर दिया आपने, इसलिए हार गए, वो कर दिया, इसलिए हार गए. And justifiably, there's been a lot of criticism. But I do think that in the last few years, something that the BJP has been able to achieve, and you've talked about it, you've written about it, is something that really goes under the radar a lot, which is, for the longest time, you used to see the SC, ST, OBCs in India. They used to be, at least the left intelligentsia and the left parties used to consider them ki baap ki jaagir hai hamari, jayegi kahan? We can, anytime we can take and incite them and we can make them vote for us, so we'll be fine. But one thing that the BJP has been able to do is being able to create this sort of, this kind of pan-Hindu consciousness within people that transcends just their narrow jati or varna or caste boundaries, right? You have people for example, Bengal also, if you look at the voting patterns in Bengal, you look at how scheduled castes have come out and voted in a very large numbers for the BJP. And this has been the case, up UP le lo, kahin bhi le lo in India mein, in 2019. I think the biggest gain that the BJP made in the 2019 elections were among these quote unquote lower castes. And I think, if there's going to be one major legacy that whenever Modi leaves office, whenever he goes away, one major legacy that people are going to look at, or at least I'm going to look at 10 years from now on what Modi and the BJP were able to achieve. For me, this is going to be absolutely tippy top on the list. In a country where people thought ki yaar ye caste boundary ko kuch, we can't break these caste boundaries down. At least politically, maybe not socially fully yet, but at least politically, he has been able to do that, which I think in itself is a pretty massive achievement given the circumstances.
Well, that's true. That's absolutely true. Because see, up until 20 years back, what was BJP stereotyped as? The BJP was stereotyped as urban Brahmin Banya party. This was the term often used to describe the BJP.
Yeah.
But since then, you see the BJP has consolidated its core. So the people who were voting it earlier, urban class and upper caste, they are still voting for the BJP. The percentages have perhaps gone up because they have lots of them have shifted from Congress to the BJP now.
Yeah.
But it has consolidated the core, but it has also expanded socially. So it has expanded into the social constituencies like backward caste, scheduled caste, tribals, which were not voting for the BJP earlier in that larger number. And it has also expanded geographically. So from being a North Indian party, the BJP is there in Northeast, the BJP is there in Bengal, the BJP is now even there in Tamil Nadu. Is forming government in Pondicherry. It has won 4 seats in Tamil Nadu, which is a great achievement. It has a decent enough vote share in Kerala, even if no seat. So the BJP is now that pan-India party. It's the most inclusive Hindu party today in the country. But this aspect we're talking about, I differ a bit in the sense that it's not entirely the BJP is doing. This is also the outcome of what has been happening in India in the last 40-50 years. So BJP is benefiting from those trends, right? So you do have increasing urbanization, you do have increasing industrialization of the country, which has its own dynamics. I mean, we can't discuss the entire process today, but let's say that is leading to the emergence of what I have been calling for many years, a new class of Hindu castes.
Yeah.
And this class, which comes from different Hindu caste, for them, their religious identity is much stronger than their caste identity. It's not that caste identities are not there; they're weaker now in front of the religious identity. So this class is a votary of Hindutva. You can see that in the urban centers, and the reason is simple because you people are living together. You in an urban center, in a colony, in an apartment, there's much more social diversity. In fact, I mean, every second person might be from different caste and community, different background, different region, unlike your traditional way of living where people were living in segregated colonies and so on. So that is also leading to this thing. You have the, after independence, you have the decline in the caste discrimination, you have this decline in all this kind of segregation, oppression, you have so much of things being done. There is social mobility, there's much more social mobility than before. So that is also leading to upward mobility, declining this caste antagonism. And then you have, and this is what I say about UP, that BJP today in UP is the natural successor of the SP-BSP period, right? BJP Hindutva is the natural successor of the Mandal politics because remember what you're seeing in Bengal today used to happen to some extent, to a great extent, in fact, in UP up until 70s and all. In central UP, which is, and also in the eastern UP, up until 70s, the Begar was common. Begar is forced labor.
Yeah.
The caste-based forced labor was very common. And I'm pretty sure even in Bihar as well, you may be able to this more. So all these things went away in the 70s. So if you are a Begar, you are doing Begar, you don't have any right to vote. I mean, you can't vote freely. People were, terrorized to vote or not to vote. In Bihar, the booth capturing was very common.
Oh, yeah.
people, I mean, in UP up until 70s and 80s, because when Kashiram started his movement in the UP, one of the major thing was to enable people to go and vote freely.
Yeah.
That was the first fight they did underground. So on the election day, gunmen will come, stand in the front of the village. No one is allowed to vote, right? No one is allowed to even go to the voting booth.
Yeah.
And in the polling booth, someone will be sitting and pressing, or not pressing, there was no buttons. So putting that thappa on the
Thappa.
parcha and stuffing the ballot boxes. Very common. So all those things have gone away. So that kind, what SP and BSP did achieve in UP was a decline in that caste discrimination, imparts political empowerment, impart what you say, socio-economic mobility. Now corruption is there. Now corruption is democratic, right? As you
Yeah.
will say, that everyone is doing corruption, not just few people, not
Yeah.
just the traditional elites, but also these new elites which are coming up. So there is a greater, let's say, mixture, so that old narrative is give way to a common aspiration and identity, and which the space has been taken over by the BJP. So
Yeah.
so these are the long term trends which are running through the India, and BJP is benefiting from it, because BJP is smart enough to benefit from it, right? So they are
Yeah.
actively trying to cultivate and capture this vote bank, so they are benefiting from it. So this is a great achievement, and after Modi and Amit Shah took over the BJP. I mean, they became the main leaders of the BJP. So they have accelerated the process. So you know, in terms of Bengal, Subaltern Hindutva became quite famous,
Yeah.
and Subaltern Hindutva is a very successful project. It is highly successful, right? Remember, in Bengal, uh, so you have people coming saying there is no communalism in Bengal, there is no casteism in Bengal. Baba, just 7 decades back, your entire Bengal was partitioned on the communal lines. How can you
Yeah.
say there is no communalism out there? And when partition happened, a large number of Namo Shudras, the scheduled caste, which is now come under SC category, they decided to join the Pakistan led by Jogendranath Mandal, because caste antagonism was so high
That's
that
so
say, we
high.
can't live with you people, we are better off with Pakistan. Now,
Yeah.
of course, he led them to slaughter, because millions of them were actually killed by the Islamists. But how can you say there is no caste antagonism and all those things, right?
Yeah.
So, but Subaltern Hindutva has made sure that today that will not happen. You will not have Namo Shudras joining Muslim League, or
Yeah.
doing those things. That is a success of
It's
Subaltern
because it's
Hindutva.
because they see themselves now. The demand was never ki hum alag hai, humko alag karo. The demand was ki we are you. Give us equal partnership. We want a
Yeah.
partnership. We don't want separatism.
Yeah, but that is the success of Subaltern Hindutva in the last 50, 60 years. In fact,
Yeah.
it's a long process. Now, what people have done in the case of Bengal, they have confused it. Subaltern Hindutva is a description of a phenomenon which is unfolding for decades with an electoral strategy. So
Right.
much outrage from the left. And you remember, the left is very outraged about it, not just this far right people on the Twitter. If you read the left, they are very angry about Subaltern Hindutva, this
Yeah, of
word.
course.
You have the Ambedkarites, which are very angry about it, because everyone knows that this is true, right? So if everyone knows that what Sajjan Kumar, he coined this word effectively, him and his supervisor, Sudha Pai. But this is a phenomenon which has been going on since the 90s very visibly. Badri Narayan talked about it, that how BJP is approaching, how Hindutva family is approaching these castes and trying to incorporate them in Hindutva narrative. Sajjan Kumar and all, their vantage point has been that there's a agency of these castes which is actively joining this narrative, and for more political representation and other things. I have been writing about it, not using this word because this word was coined by Sajjan,
Right.
but as Hindutva 2.0 and all, I have been saying that this is basically localization of Hindutva discourse in the caste memories. So this is something like a Shekhawat doctrine, which Praveen talked about. 543 handle, if you know him. So he talked about that localization of Hindutva narrative in the caste memory and their discourse. So Hindutva is not an abstract construct, it is
Yeah.
related to your own culture, tradition, and all those things. I think that is what Subaltern Hindutva has been. And it's one of the highly successful political project. No matter, ill-informed people can now praise about it, doesn't
Yeah.
matter. Everyone is outraging from left to right to the Ambedkarites and all, but it's a great project. And Modi and Amit Shah have been smart enough to understand this thing, and they have been able to capitalize on it, and that is a
Yeah.
great success of the BJP.
Yeah, I agree, and we'll see how the whole situation pans out, and we'll see how the story of Bengal pans out. At the moment, I think we should all be hoping that the second wave can subside. Everybody can get vaccinated once again. We try to say it on the show every time we do one. Ki if you have the option, if you have the opportunity, please go get vaccinated. Don't wait. Don't hesitate. दूसरों की बात मत सुनिए, WhatsApp की बात मत सुनिए. अगर मौका मिलता है तो please get yourself vaccinated as quickly as possible. That's the only way to come out of this mess that we're in. But I appreciate Abhinav, you being on the show today. This was a lot of fun. It was great to catch up, and hopefully we'll be able to do one of these again.
Sure, it was wonderful discussing all these topics with you. Wonderful, and thank you, audience, for listening to us. And just don't get vaccinated; get other people vaccinated as well. So,
Yes. Yeah.
so thank you
Get
once
like
again.
5 people along with you vaccinated as well. So
True.
thanks again, Abhinav. You can follow Abhinav at Abhinav Prakash on YouTube, and I'll leave his social media handles in the description of this video as well. So go check it out. The link of his channel is in the description of this video as well. So go check him out over there. We will see you for the next episode as usual, guys. Until then, stay happy, stay healthy, get vaccinated.